We're here with Logan. Logan's an athlete that we've worked with for a little bit now. He's off at college. He plays for Mott Community College, looking to get a scholarship here. And he throws well. He throws in the mid-80s. And we're working on getting him a few extra ticks to get him to where he wants to be from a performance and from a health standpoint. We know the better that you move, the more healthy you're going to be long term, and the better that you're going to perform, the higher your ceiling is. For Logan, who's right now a junior college pitcher, he's sitting in the mid-80s, he's got great command and good stuff. Our goal is, how can we protect you for the longest period of time, and then how can we just continue to incrementally improve your performance. Now we're going to watch him throw really quick. We're going to dissect his throw, and we're going to perform some different exercises and throwing interventions that are going to allow him to throw much better, because really a lot of the time we're dealing with motor performance coordination issues in the throw, but we're not always dealing with that. And with Logan's throw, this is going to be a great case study. I can tell you already just by watching him. We haven't even done anything really besides warm up. I can tell you this is going to be a great case study for it's not always a coordination deficit. Sometimes it's a physical impairment. So let's have Logan just throw a few here. I want you to watch how he throws, watch what he does. When you watch this throw, you say, wow, he's got a lot of potential. He's already throwing 85, 86 miles an hour, and he doesn't even use close to his full potential. With the raw eye, we can see, hey, he doesn't get his chest forward as far as we'd like him to. His stride is a little bit across his body. There's nothing major glaring wrong here. He lifts a little bit too high with his elbow, a little bit too much internal rotation in the lift, so he gets his elbow a little bit too high as he comes forward. But overall, he does things well. We're wondering, why isn't it just better? Why isn't it more aesthetically pleasing when we watch his throw? And I want you to take note of what he does with the back hip, the back leg. When does that back leg come up? What happens as it comes up? And then how much range of motion does he move through with his hip? And what you'll see is he doesn't move through a lot. And if you watch this slow motion video on the screen here, you'll see that as he begins to move forward, he starts to automatically flex through his hip, and he never actually loads through his hip well early in the throw, but actually as he comes forward and down the mound, he does not move into hip extension. So what we're going to do is some hip flexor flexibility testing, which we've done in the past. It's improved some, but we're going to do it a little bit more. The interesting thing about Logan is he also used to lack, and he still does to some extent, external rotation. It's actually improved probably 25 degrees or so since the last time we've worked together, which is a testament to his hard work in getting his elbow in a better position in the throw. So you've seen that he doesn't go into hip extension in the throw. When he does go into hip extension, we'll show you really quick. Go in that lunge stance again for me. So when he goes into hip extension and he lowers down, what you'll see is that he accentuates his curve here, and he actually comes forward a bit with his chest. He has a very hard time coming up. What do you feel? Big stretch in the front. That's indicative of flexibility restriction, and he has a hard time maintaining that. You can see a little bit of fasciculation and quivering there. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch that out. We'll show you how tight he really is there, and then we'll come back and throw, show you a little bit of an after, and then some of the coordination activities and exercises that we implement on top, because we're utilizing a new range of motion that he's not completely familiar with. So as we increase his flexibility and his range of motion to hip extension, we need to teach him to use it a little better. That's what we're going to. What we have here is our favorite couch stretch for the rectus femoris. What you're going to do is you're going to turn, get your knee all the way up against the wall. From there, you're probably going to hang out right here, and this might be a lot, and you're going to squeeze your glute and try to extend your hip. So you might just hang out here. As you get more flexible, you work this leg up, and then you eventually get to there. You're going to be a long ways away. This is tougher to do. Even once you get this foot up, it's going to be a lot for you. And then you're squeezing your glute, trying to extend through that hip and going. Let's see you do it. So you might just stay on one knee. We're trying to work on the rectus femoris flexibility. Get that knee up against the wall. Probably already starting to feel a little bit. Feeling it already?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, see how you're arching up? I want you to come down, squeeze your butt, and drive this hip down. Feel it?
Yep.
So he's already feeling a considerable stretch. We're trying to get the rectus femoris out of the way so that we can then work on iliopsoas. Probably more important for the thrower, but rectus femoris comes into play too because, and this is my theory, that when you stretch the rectus femoris from a knee perspective, you're hitting the lower component. You can actually hit the higher component. It's such a long muscle with so much dense fascial connections to the iliopsoas muscle, to the quadriceps muscles, that if you just did the knee, you're still probably stretching the bottom component of it, but when you actually use the hip, I think you're stretching another component, because you can be somebody that can get close to where I got to and still not have very good hip extension, and it can be more the rectus femoris. He's going to hang out here, tighten your core up. Generally we hang out in this for 2 minutes, and he's going to do both sides, so we'll fast forward. Okay, you're at about minute 15, minute 20. So now we've got our handy dandy Gray Cook SFMA band, and it's a hip extension stretch. So you get it up into the gluteal fold right underneath your butt cheek. Get something to balance with, and then it's a hip extension stretch where you're trying to, don't let your foot turn in, keep your foot turned out, and then you're going into as much hip extension as you can. You tuck your butt under, tighten your core, and then go into it. The further that you work this foot out, the more stretch, because it's going to lengthen your hamstring a little bit. So this is the stretch right here that he's going to do. He's trying to get his hips as far forward as he can, while no arch in the back. So none of this, nice core tuck, lengthening to the front. That's your iliopsoas. So you do the wall stretch, follow up with this. This isn't an extremely heavy band, so give that a try. So what we're going to do here is he needs to make sure his foot is internally rotated some. He's turned, his hips are straight forward. Bring this foot this way. So we don't want him to actually go through an abduction moment. We want him to go through a hip extension moment. So what we're going to do is have him there. He's got to balance if he needs it. Tuck your core, tuck your tailbone under, tighten your core. So posterior pelvic tilt. From there, you squeeze this glute and come forward a bit. You're not going to get anywhere near as far as I did because your hip's a lot tighter. Good. Tuck your butt under a little bit. So posterior tilt hard. Flatten your low back, good. Squeeze your glute, hold. Once again, we're going to hit 2 minutes on each side. And we're going to let this fast forward for you. A lot of times we're dealing with physical impairments such as flexibility or strength limitations, in this case a flexibility impairment, that's preventing us from getting in the positions that we need to acquire or would like to acquire in the throw. So the interesting thing is it always a coordination deficit? Some would say yes. I would say the primary limitation here is a physical deficit, and there's an associated coordination deficit. We have to fix and work on the flexibility impairment before we're going to even be able to really improve his throw to where he needs it to be, to hit 90 miles an hour, which I think is an easily attainable goal with hard work and dedication on his part. So now if you watch Logan's slow motion video, you'll see that he's considerably lower. He's not all the way to where I want him to be yet. From a full pitch, he's maybe 2-3 inches too high instead of 6-7. So he's improved his elbow height, improved the way that he's lifted the ball, and then in combination with our hip stretching, he's able to get through more hip extension in the throw. So this is something we're trying to do with a lot of our athletes, is improve their physical impairment while we simultaneously get their arm into a better position. Physical impairment and coordination issue. He's made some big progress in his throw today, but we're going to continue to work together because he's not to the point where he needs to be. And then once we get him to that throw and give him that more ideal biomechanical model, we continue to work on that over the course of time. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.